right. Are we recording?
We are recording and we are back, and this is going to be the first episode on YouTube.
Yeah, baby.
So, Bourbon and Blunts on YouTube. Hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jimmy the J.
And I'm Slang.
The one, the only.
Digital Slang, son. Check out my other channel, Digital Slang.
That's right. Pretty good YouTube channel, especially if you're interested in tech. Go check it out for sure.
Yeah, so this setup that you see, though, right now is not going to be the final setup. We kind of just threw this together to get a video up.
Yeah.
So it might be a little bit, you might see some things.
Tweaks over time.
Well, you're going to see some tweaks over time.
Yeah.
Some twerks or some tweaks?
Tweaks. Well, either one.
I might twerk on camera.
I would love to see that. I did say today, I was like, oh, man, your ass is getting real tight.
He did. We were hanging this thing up behind us, and he said, yes, your ass is looking tight. And then he continued to tell me about the proudest moment in his life.
Not a very proud moment.
Not a very proud moment. You want to tell everybody about that?
So early on in my academic career, I was in nursing. And I was in nursing one semester. And it's all it took for.
Is this why it was only one semester?
This is part of the reason why. Okay. So it only took me one semester to realize that, yep, nursing is definitely not for me. And one of the moments that I had, I was designated to go bathe this gentleman, and I was in a rehab center for elderly patients. So you can imagine the things that you would have to do. So designated to go bathe this person. Now. It was just me and this other one of my peers, and I'm in there. And,
a fellow citizen.
A fellow citizen of mine.
That's right.
And he's like, okay. He's like, you're gonna bathe him. I'm gonna like roll him over and hold him. All right. So now this guy, he's completely cognitively with it. He had one of the things, he had heart failure. I mean, his legs were like freaking balloons. So it's like, all right, you gotta bathe him. I'm like, okay. So the nurse freaking gives me this sponge and a bucket.
So you're giving a guy a sponge bath.
So they freaking he opens up his blanket. Now he's fucking completely.
He was already naked. He was ready for you.
Naked.
He was ready for you. That's
I'm
right.
like, shit. I'm sitting there looking at this fucking thing, and it's like
piece of meat.
It's like
it's a piece of meat.
It is hanging.
Oh my goodness.
And there's like some schmegma coming out of it.
Schmegma.
And I'm sitting there contemplating. I'm like, this job is not for me. I can't imagine doing this every day. So I, like the thing was going to bite me. I took 2 fingers and I picked it up. I took the rag and I'm like wiping it. I'm like, man, this is the first time.
Why did you start there though?
Because that's what I was supposed to do.
Oh, you like a sponge bath is just that area?
They wanted me to do his bottom half.
Not the rest of them.
To my knowledge, no. Because also, unfortunately, the man, I felt so bad for this guy. He shit himself.
While you were doing it?
No, prior to us doing this.
That would have been awesome.
So one of the things I told the other dude I was with, I was like, listen, man, I'm gonna roll him over and you're gonna clean his ass.
So the shit was still there when you guys were giving him the bath.
That's part of the reason why I had to give him a bath. So, dude, I grabbed this guy, I roll him over, and I look. And it looked like pea soup everywhere. And it
so green.
Oh, it stunk so bad.
It's hot.
It was not hot. And after that moment, I was like, "Yeah,
hot.
I'm not doing this anymore." I did cry one day when I was.
You are sensitive. So
I am a sensitive.
What'd you cry about?
So I was supposed to, again, fucking bathing people. So me and this girl go in there to bathe this guy, and he had, I guess, such a severe brain aneurysm that they removed. I don't know the whole process or whatnot, but they basically removed part of his brain, and in which case, like part of his skull was missing.
Yeah, so he had that like indentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was such a fall risk that he had to wear a helmet. Now, we were told to put a helmet on him the whole time.
I don't want to laugh, but
he had to wear a helmet.
I'm just picturing
and
a
I
helmet.
felt,
Yeah.
I mean, like this guy was.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I mean, his bed was literally on the floor. It was a pad.
Because they didn't want him to fall off
they
the
didn't want
bed.
to fall.
Yeah.
Right. And I freaking forgot to put his helmet on. And
How do you forget to put his helmet on?
Because I don't know.
Did you get scolded?
Oh, yeah, I got scolded.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they freaking lambasted me.
Lambasted?
Lambasted. They freaking
is
let
that
me
a
know.
word?
That is a real word.
Lambasted.
Lambasted me.
You guys check
and
that?
I don't blame them.
Please drop some comments and let me know if lambasted is a word.
Lambasted is a word.
He likes to use big words, by the way.
Well, I'm a lot more intelligent than you.
And he keeps saying that.
So
Maybe book smart, but not street smart.
well, you did grow up in the ghetto.
I did.
So So anyways, that was another moment where I'm like, fuck, I could have killed somebody.
Yeah.
So
real nice. So you cried about that after you were. So did you cry while you were being scolded because you're a pussy?
No.
Or did you?
No, I did not. I did not.
Or you went home and cried later?
I went home and cried.
Did you tell your princess and you cried with her?
Nah, I wasn't with my princess.
Did she hold you?
No, I think I was a single guy at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I realized. It's one of the couple of moments I realized nursing.
No, I wouldn't want to do that either.
Not
that would
for me.
definitely change my opinion.
For sure, it takes a very special person to do
Well, a
that.
caring person.
Oh, I'm a very caring person.
Obviously not.
I wasn't.
Now, you didn't put the guy's helmet on, and you thought the dragon was gonna bite you.
What was I? What would you do? How would you hold it?
I'm going in, go all in, bro. I'm
you grab the
grabbing
whole-
that shit,
Yes, you.
stroking it.
That's messed up. Nasty.
Get some schmegma out.
Oh, it was. It was like there was like this stuff discharging.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look.
Hey, it is what.
At some point, we're all gonna go through that.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And look, I'm not knocking a guy. I'm just saying my experience was not.
I'm sure he didn't want you there.
Oh, he definitely didn't want me there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, anyways,
It's tough, man.
but
All jokes aside, that's sad.
yeah, it really was sad. So, anyways, yeah, that was my nursing experience, and that's why I decided to leave the profession after one semester.
And now you are a teacher, teaching our youth of today.
Yeah.
How to be
Better men and women.
better men and women.
Yeah, that's the goal. Anyways,
That is the goal.
so what do you want to talk about today, buddy?
Let's talk about. That's a good question. Let's talk about life
Okay.
and money. And
That's it's interesting you bring that up because I was just away this past week, my princess and I, and we were in upstate New York.
hello, princess.
That's right. I keep wanting to bring her on. She'll come on one day.
Hey, why hasn't she come on yet?
She's like, because we don't have 1 million followers yet.
If she's waiting for that,
She's gonna be waiting a while.
she's been waiting a long time.
So, anyways, we were up in New York. We were near Woodstock, and we brought our camper, went camping, had a nice few days. And it's so interesting. Every time that I'm away, I always feel like there's this reset that happens, and I start really reflecting upon life. And one of the recurring themes that keeps coming up in my brain is that why do I spend so much of the most precious resource that I have, which is time of life, and trade that constantly to make money?
I'm talking about the cycle.
This cycle, man.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, everybody's like, oh, because you got to make money. You got to do this. I understand if you're going to live in this type of culture and society, you need to make paper. I get it. However, what's sad is the constant pursuit and how, in a lot of ways, I've made my life surrounding making money. And what's interesting, not to cut you off for a second, just this last thought, it's interesting that I've done all these things between working multiple jobs, businesses, to create extra money in the hopes that I can basically build something up so I can get my time back.
Here's the problem with that. The thing that we need in this life to create freedom is consumable, right?
Right.
Money is consumable. We fucking run through it. And so we need a hell of a lot of it to create that freedom that you're looking for. Like that we all should be looking for. Because the system is set up so we always need it.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go live in a tent in the woods which
I did.
And live off the grid, which is fine, but at some point you're still going to need money.
Yeah, if you're going to have, right, we have a society, and this society and this culture relies on a particular resource, and what you do is you trade that resource for goods and services and things.
Yeah.
Whereas when we used to, let's just say we're living 10, plus thousand years ago, 50,000 years ago, you traded your time to actually go and acquire resources.
Yeah.
Right? And then I would argue, just based off of a lot of anthropological studies that I've read, most hunter-gatherer tribes that are studied today spend about 4 hours of their day gathering resources. Whereas you and I, me especially, might
You're spending 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
12 hours a day.
Right.
Like,
making paper.
just trying to make money.
And then trading that paper for goods and
right.
services.
So we're trading our
right?
time for the paper and then trading the paper for the goods.
Right. But now the bad part is we live in a very different time compared to when our parents were living. See, when I was growing up, college was, hammered into my brain, which I'm glad I went to school. However, college, and we've talked a lot about this on the podcast, but college does not equate to success in life.
No,
right?
it's not needed.
It's not necessarily needed, but my point is...
But the world teaches you, or they put it into your head that you should do it.
Right.
But it's just another way of control. Now, I'm not saying college is bad.
No, it's not bad.
But it's another way that they can keep you in debt.
Right.
And control you and make you part of the system.
Yeah, there's part of that. But the other thing, what I was kind of going with that is, like, I guess going back to our parents, there was a time in our country's history where you could survive off of one individual of the household.
One income.
One income.
Yeah.
You could buy a house, 2 cars, live off one income, and save money, right? The idea of the American dream.
And them days are over.
It's done.
It's over.
It's done, right? And so then you sit back for people that maybe, don't follow finances or politics or whatnot. You sit back and you wonder, like, well, why is it? Why is that dream kind of over? Well, it's because things are so expensive. And it's like, well, okay, well, why are things so expensive? It's like partly because we have all this inflation that's going on. So here's a perfect example. I got a 3.5% pay raise. But really, I think inflation went up to like 9 or 10%. So let's just say it was like 9%.
So you're losing money.
I lost money this year. I'm not making more money.
Yeah.
Right? I'm actually taking a pay
We'll
cut.
never, our pay increase will never match inflation.
At this point, no. So
companies can't afford it. They can't afford it.
Right. You're a business owner. You have employees.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that?
It's look, we've talked about this a lot. Like, I've been so close to the red for the longest time.
Right.
Because of COVID and now inflation. Like, my business is, like I've told you and other people, like, I'm considering doing DoorDash in my private time.
Yeah.
Because I'm almost at a point where I can still pay my employees, but I might stop paying myself.
And it wasn't always like that. When I first met you pre-COVID, it wasn't like that.
No.
You were crushing it.
Yeah. And I'm getting busy again, which is good, but it's all, I have to wait for that money.
Yeah.
It's 30-day terms. But it's busy now, and if it stays like this, I'm fine.
Right.
But with inflation and with what COVID did, like, I was like 7 days from going out of business.
Right.
Like, literally like 1 week from going out of business.
And, your employees want to have a living wage. Like, they
Well,
want to
and
make
that's why I would stop paying myself first.
Right.
Like, I would find a way. I'll always find a way.
Right.
Like, I would find a way to make money.
But the whole, going back to the whole point with as America as a whole, you have business owners that are struggling to pay employees. They can't even afford to keep up. Like, because you want to play your employees this way, they can keep up with maybe some type of quality of life and living. But inflation goes up, and this is just one metric.
No, I can't afford to give them a pay raise to match inflation.
Right.
It's not possible.
You're going out of business.
They'd make more money than I am.
Right. Right, and then you're done.
Yeah, I'll be sleeping on your couch.
And that couch is a nice couch, buddy.
Yeah,
that's actually not the best couch in the world.
It's a couch.
It's a couch.
I'd probably.
It's comfortable enough.
I'm good. I'm fine on the floor.
Yeah, you'd be all right. But going back to like life and this and the rat race and all that sort of stuff, it's like, well, if I want not necessarily nicer things, I could give a shit about things.
I agree.
I care about time. But I trade so much time to make paper to try to create enough passive money, so now I can get more time back.
Well, yeah, you're trying to sway the pendulum.
Right.
Right? This is the fucking amount of time you put in to get this most paper.
Right.
You want to have that paper here so you can spend less time accumulating more of this paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then I was just talking, I went out to breakfast yesterday with my family, and I was just talking to them about this. I was like, in that pursuit I'm making it so important, but it is not the most important thing in the world to me. The most important thing in the world to me is spending time with my family, doing what we're doing, having, just interacting, as two human beings, two friends, enjoying each other's company, spending time with Skylar, being able to really appreciate the valuable time with those that are in my life. But instead, I spend the majority of the time going out and making paper. And when I'm on my deathbed and I'm reflecting upon my life, am I ever sitting there saying to myself, man, look how much freaking money that I have?
Nobody says that.
Nobody fucking says that.
Nobody says that.
And yet, we still trade all that precious time.
Because we don't live like our last day is tomorrow.
But it can be.
It absolutely can be for a lot of us. And it is for a lot of us.
For sure, man.
Could be for me. Could be for you. Like
the rest of the day is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
The only moment that's guaranteed.
I could drop dead during this podcast.
For sure.
Yeah.
Good thing you're with a professional rescuer. I'd save your life.
Oh, just don't touch me. Oh, by the way, real quick, Bourbon and Blunts. So every week we will be talking about a strain of the week.
Yep.
Or a strain of the month.
Strain of the month. Yeah.
And we will be drinking bourbon on the podcast, but it is early in the morning right now.
Yeah,
so
it's about 9:30 as we're recording this, and I'm not sitting here drinking alcohol.
Yeah, but at some point we'll be doing it at night and drinking some bourbon.
Yeah,
some good.
We
bourbon.
could do Bloody Marys and blunts because I enjoy Bloody Marys for breakfast.
I've never had one.
You're from Russia, aren't you?
I've never had a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, although
I drink real blood.
Oh, okay. Actually, if you were from Russia, it probably makes sense because it's vodka.
Vodka.
Yeah,
I like.
Although they do have other ones. They have like
the Ruskis.
Yeah, they have Bloody Marias and all that sort of shit. It's tequila.
I don't like tequila.
I'm not a fan of tequila.
I will never drink tequila again. That's when I hurt my back.
Bad experience.
Very bad.
So, Jeff, in your life, you're older than me, and have you experienced the same thing? I mean, you've gone through some other different times in our country's history that have led you to this point.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say to your younger self as it relates to your quality of life and your well-being?
I mean, there's a couple of different routes I would take. To change. You asked me what I would change.
Yeah, just what would you say to your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Pay off your bills.
Okay.
Right away. Right away. Don't use a debit card ever. Ever. You take one credit card, use one credit card, buy something with it, pay it off immediately. Get your credit way, way, way up there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get in debt ever because it'll ruin you.
It can.
It'll keep you in the system.
Yeah.
It'll keep you in the system forever. And you won't be able to buy anything. You won't be able to do anything. And if you do, you're going to get the interest rate on what you do is going to be insane.
Right.
So I would do that because I was always that guy. If I want something, I'm going to buy it. If I want something, I'm going to buy it. Right. So I would get credit cards and I would go into debt and buy whatever the hell I wanted.
Yeah. And just to pause you there for a second. Why? Why did you do that?
Because I said to myself, you only live once.
Okay.
So if I just want something, I'm going to go get it. Right.
Do you feel like you were trying to fill a void?
Yeah.
In your life.
I've always been looking for something and I still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That's why I moved around. I've lived all over.
Yeah.
I've probably had 25 addresses because I'm searching, constantly searching. In-state, out-of-state, in-state, out-of-state,
Yeah.
in-state, out-of-state.
But, I mean, is that even necessarily a bad thing, too? Because...
Well, no, I want to keep moving. I want to experience new things.
Exactly.
But I still feel like I was always searching for a home.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it. So just somewhere I felt comfortable.
Right. And you feel like this isn't really home.
No, this is home.
Yeah.
But it's not where I want to live.
Okay.
I don't need to, Jersey will always be home.
Right.
But I don't need to be here anymore.
So,
I'm only here. You know why I'm here.
Yeah. No, I know. So pay off your bills.
Pay off your bills.
How would you live? What would your housing situation be?
I would buy a house as early as possible.
Okay.
As early as possible, especially back then, right? If I can do it over back then. But I wouldn't work. I would join the military.
Oh, okay.
I would go in. I always wanted to do it over and join the Air Force.
All right.
And be a fighter pilot and just whatever. If I die, I die. And if I don't, I can retire in 20 years. So by the time, if I join at 18, I'll be retired before I'm 40.
Yeah, you'd be retired now.
I'd be retired now. And I have a friend who joined the Army when he turned 20, and he's retired, and he travels all the time.
Yeah.
And he gets good money from the government.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I would do differently. I would join the Air Force right away. If I make it, I make it.
Right. Because there's actually, so right there, that's kind of a path to where if you went full term, you could retire at a very young age.
20 years.
Right. You could retire at a young age.
Before you're 40.
Exactly. And have a pension, all that sort of stuff.
Like looking back, like that would be ideal.
Right.
Right. Imagine retiring at 40.
Yeah. And then you have all this time.
But you have income.
Exactly.
That's where you trade your time for money. You're not, that's passive income.
Right.
At that point. After you retire, the government is just sending you money because of what you did.
Right. So and then technically you could have a whole second career.
I'm sure you do, because you're going to get bored.
Right.
Because you're not making millions from the government, but you're making enough to live.
Right.
So then anything else that you make is gravy. You could start a YouTube channel. You can, do a podcast, whatever you want to do.
Right.
But you're doing something that you're going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Not something you're stuck doing.
Yeah. And then too, to your point, you're with the military, it's like you're traveling around, all that sort of stuff.
Travel wherever you want.
Yeah.
And not only can you travel because you have free time, but you're going to get discounts because you're a vet.
Right.
You're going to get health insurance because you're a vet.
Right. You're
going to get funding for homes because you're a vet. There are so many benefits to it.
Yeah. Yeah, although, I was just listening to a podcast talking about the Department of Defense and how, did you hear about this?
Mm-mm.
All right, so this just popped in my head because you were talking about the military. The Department of Defense failed like it's like fifth audit. Basically, they can't account for, at this point, almost, $1 trillion+.
That's not surprising.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
No clue where the fuck it goes. Right? No clue where it's at.
Yeah.
And yet, we still have boots on the ground guys blowing their brains out, suffering, barely, making ends meet.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's like, where do you put all those trillions of dollars? Like, how do you lose that
it's
money?
not lost. It's in somebody's pockets.
Oh, that's that.
It's in their pockets
Potentially, yeah.
It's shit rolls downhill. So It starts like business in the real world. Not that military is not real world, but it's just a different business. It's still a business.
It's still a business,
right? So the money is getting put
somewhere else
at the top, and just going. Bribes. If you don't think bribes are happening and people are getting paid off,
it's funny you say this. I had a friend who was an investigator for the Department of Defense, and it's when I was doing personal training, so he was one of my clients. And basically, he was investigating this case where a U.S. company was supposedly providing chicken to our soldiers in Afghanistan. But in the process, I don't know if it was like an Afghan company that they were working with, but in the process, that company was basically trading Afghan chickens for U.S. chickens and feeding the Afghan chickens to the American soldiers, and there was a ton of soldiers getting sick.
Wow.
Because obviously the quality and how things are processed aren't the same. So there's this whole freaking investigation, all that sort of shit. And basically what he told me at the end of the day, he's like, the U.S. government is completely incompetent. He's like, we spend so much money on stuff and have no clue where it goes. It's incredible. And the fraction of things that we actually can recover, like, basically he's at the process of closing this case, so they were going to be able to recover billions. He said billions of dollars they were going to be able to recover. But he's like, there's so much money that we can't recover, man. We have no clue where it goes. He's like, and the government's so compartmentalized. One hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. He's like, it's so inefficient.
It's not surprising.
No, it's not surprising.
No.
So, but back to you would have been career military.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd be retired and traveling right now.
Yeah. But isn't it crazy, like when you're young, you have the perspective of a gnat.
Of an idiot.
Right? But
you think you know everything.
So
you don't know
much.
shit.
You don't know
you think you know everything.
And you have this tiny-ass perspective, and, you go down a path, and it's like you learn all these things, make a lot of mistakes, which is great. And it's just like, shit, man, if I could do it all over again.
Yeah, and I was recruited many times because I would, even in Florida, when I was in Florida, I would go to I worked for a certain company, and we would go around and we would host things. And I used to go to the beach all the time in Cocoa Beach, and there would be like obstacle courses set up.
Okay.
So, and they were held by the military, but anybody could do the obstacle course. But what it was just to see, they're looking for athletic people, and then they're going to try and recruit you.
Okay.
So I would do the obstacle course all the time because I loved it. I loved that shit.
Okay.
And I would kill it. And then they try and recruit me, and then I would be like, no. And a buddy of mine, we actually went to the Coast Guard one day.
Oh, okay.
We drove down to the Coast Guard office, and this is how stupid you are as a kid. This is how dumb you are. Like, I wanted to do this, and I was set to go there and sign up, join the Coast Guard. I was probably in my early 30s, and we drove down to the office, and the Coast Guard sat us in an office and played a video.
Okay.
Like, I guess like an introductory video.
Right.
And this is how dumb I was as a young adult, because I was in my 30s or late 20s probably.
Okay.
And we watched the video, and we're looking at the video, and it was nothing but nerds. And that's why I didn't join the Coast Guard.
Really?
That's my thought process back then. Of course, I'm an idiot, right? Like, I would never think that now.
Right.
But back then, I thought I was too cool for the Coast Guard, when in reality, it would have been probably the best decision of my life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
is that what you were saying to yourself? Oh, there's a bunch of nerds.
look at these idiots. Like,
oh, man.
That's how dumb I was
know.
as a young adult. Like, thinking that I was one, better than anyone.
Right.
Two, cooler than anyone.
Right.
And that these guys weren't putting their lives on the line while I'm here fucking making fun of them like an idiot. Like,
right.
And not wanting to join because they didn't look cool.
Right.
Right? Like, come on.
I know.
That's how dumb we are. That's how dumb I was as a young adult.
Yeah, there's no doubt, man. Yeah, I wasn't that dumb myself, but very narrow-minded.
I'll never forget that ever, because I was dead set on joining the Coast Guard that day, and then I didn't because I didn't like the video.
Stupid, man. I had there was a couple people in my life. My neighbor, retired Coast Guard. He told me some cool things that he would do.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
Dude, he said one of his jobs was to they would raid drug boats.
Yeah, dude, boats and water. I'm in heaven,
and that's what he did.
I'm in heaven.
He said he was on one of those boats where they basically would, try to find drug cartels that's running drug boats.
Could you
and
imagine?
That's one of his jobs,
man.
Another one of my former, when I was doing personal training again, another one of my clients, her husband was a helicopter pilot in the Coast Guard. His job was basically to fly around, look for, again, drug boats, and they would freaking shoot the engines out of the drug boats.
That's awesome.
From the helicopter.
That's awesome.
That was his job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, you kind of missed out. And I feel like I'm.
Yeah, I mean, again, like my dream would have been to fly jets in the Air Force. Yeah. But even later in life, I was still thinking about it because I drove to the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
So it's always been a thought, but I never pulled the trigger.
Yeah. And isn't it crazy, dude? Like, so you look back and you're like, oh, man, there's different things that I would have done. And of course, like, you appreciate your life now and all this sort of stuff. It's not that there's this unappreciation for life, but it's just like, man, you do so many things differently, and yet you still have the power to make different decisions to live a different life. Now, you're not going to be a pilot.
No, when I was ready to finally make the decision, I was too old. Right, because there is an age limit.
For sure.
So when I was finally ready to commit, it was already too late.
But you still can make different decisions.
Yeah.
And yet, how many people still don't make those different decisions, knowing that they can live a different life or create a different trajectory for the path that they're on? But so many times it goes back to, well, like I have good benefits and I have a good pension. I have
because
it's
convenient,
right? And we build a fucking prison around ourselves.
Yeah, and you can't get out of it.
And you can't
because they're semi-comfortable, right?
Yep.
If they're just paying their bills and say they're in a good relationship, they're happy, they'll be content just staying there.
But are they? And again, I'm.
They could be very happy
for sure,
and it could be great for them,
right? And I can guarantee there's a lot of people saying, like, well, what the fuck are you doing? Well, I'm definitely getting out of education within the next couple of years and doing something completely different.
A simple life, it sounds good to me.
For sure. And here's what I can say. We were talking about living in a tent. I lived in a tent for 6 months in the wintertime. No freaking electricity, no heat. I had a wood-burning stove in there. And I will say this. It was the best I ever felt as a man.
Huh.
The best I ever felt. it felt like pure freedom. That's why I love camping so much. With our camper, and dude, we've been all over the country. It feels like ultimate freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a simple kind of life. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, well, I couldn't do that. I can't do this.
Could.
Fuck yeah, man. It was great.
Yeah, simple life sounds good.
It was great. But then the other side of it, you have to have a partner that's willing to
do it with you.
To do that with you. But you're in a situation, man. You're a single guy. And you have a lot more freedom right now.
I can do whatever I want.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
If we could just get rid of the...
I'm tethered here right now.
If we can get rid of your 3 hairy ones.
My 3 fur balls. I'm tethered in Jersey because of my fur balls.
Yeah.
And I won't leave them. I
understand.
So I'm in Jersey until they are no longer present.
Yeah.
Which hopefully is a few years.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. But yeah, it's just so interesting how we say we want to live a different life, and yet so many times not willing to pull a trigger and make a decision.
Also, some people don't do it because they're scared.
But on the other side of that fear, I feel as though there is tremendous growth. Because think about, like, how many times in one's life have you been scared?
Well, yeah.
To make a decision or do this and that, right? But you feel like you have so much more to lose at this point that you're not willing to take that risk or that chance. But imagine if you did.
So I just found this quote the other day about fear. It says, the fears you don't face become your limits.
Well, that's a good point.
The fears you don't face become your limits. Yeah. Right?
And, how many people are scared to pull the trigger on something because, like, well, I have a great pension. Well, I have great insurance. Well, my kids go here. Well, this and that. But it's like, you have one chance. This is one life. We're not living forever.
You have one chance in this life, but you have many chances to take a risk.
For sure. But one chance in this life to live a life worth living. And
but that's different for everybody, though, too. Like, I don't want to take away, if somebody that's enjoying a simple life, if that's what they want to do,
I understand.
Then more power to them.
But we're not talking about that audience, right? We're talking about the
people that are scared to take a risk.
And there's been times where, you and I are in that boat.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And in some type of way, like...
I just took a risk last year. And I took a big L.
Yes, you did. But you know what, man? Like, you had a good attitude about it.
And I told you, it's risky. I said it might go south.
Yeah. Oh, it went south.
And it went south. For those who don't know, I got scammed out of a ton of money.
Yeah.
But I took the risk.
Do you want to divulge how much?
It was around $50K. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to tell that story? I mean, we told it before. You haven't released that. You don't have.
We did a podcast on it that I never put out.
Yeah.
Because it's very personal, and at some point I will probably tell the whole story.
Yeah.
But I was scammed out of $50K, and I knew the risk.
Yeah.
I knew the risk going in. I even talked about it. I was like, "This is risky." It was 3 separate transactions.
Yeah.
And each one was different, but each one was a risk.
Yeah.
But if one of them paid off, I would have been sitting nice, but none of them paid off. And it just happened to all happen at the same time.
Yeah.
Like it all went south in the same month.
Yeah. I think it was the same week, actually.
Man, I got hit hard, man.
Yeah. But it's okay. You're going to bounce back.
Yeah, it is what it is.
You're already bouncing back.
I took the risk and whatever. But yeah, I'll tell that story one day.
Yeah, we'll share that down the road. But yeah, I think, you talked about the idea of comfort. And we all get so comfortable in our own lives, but the quote of comfort kills, and it really does, or complacency kills. And I've reflected upon this in my life, how many times where I've been comfortable or complacent, and as I reflect upon that period of my life, I wasn't growing as a human being. I wasn't getting better, And here's a perfect example. I graduate with my undergrad. And I thought, I never forget this, dude. Graduation day, I'm sitting there like, oh, fuck yeah. My education is done. Education's over. And after a couple years, I had my full-time job. I had my home, all this sort of stuff. I'm just like, this is it? Like, I just don't feel good anymore. I don't feel like I'm growing as a human being. And that's when, I started making certain changes in my life. I started incorporating different things in my life to help me grow. And I mean, as silly as this may sound, like reading books, like I love to read, and reading helped me grow, just because I can tap into and access other people and their thoughts and ideas and opinions, and it stimulates my brain, so I feel a little bit better. Or taking risks like starting a business, and how uncomfortable that is and was, but it's worked out. There's some things that haven't worked out, but you know what? At least taking the chance, taking the risk, and growing from it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if people want to grow, they will take a risk because you have to at some point. You can't play it safe.
No,
not all the time. Some things you can, but not all the time.
Yeah.
At some point, you're gonna come up upon something, and you're gonna say to yourself, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't do that, but if I do it, that might be fantastic."
Right. But we always worry about the negative of it.
Yeah, because people are pessimists.
Yeah, we always think about like, what if? But what if
it works?
Right.
What if it works?
Right,
And it doesn't matter if you try it 10 different times and fail 9 times. It only needs to work once.
Exactly.
Right. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. Just don't repeat the same thing over again.
Don't keep doing the same exact.
But if it works one time, then it could change your life.
For sure, man. For sure. And that's why I'm excited about the future, dude. What's the most thing? So in your life right now, you've experienced all this stuff. There's been a lot of ups and downs. You're 50 years old. You're gonna live probably another 10 years.
If I'm lucky.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna go to 100 knowing you.
Probably because I'm stubborn.
You're stubborn. How do you want to live that life? What do you see yourself? Based off the decisions you're making now and the trajectory you're on, where do you see yourself for the other half of your life?
Poor and in a tent somewhere. With the decisions I just made.
Don't make those decisions again.
I learned from your goddamn decisions.
Yeah.
Don't do it again, which I never would, but I took the risk.
Yeah.
But no, I just want to travel.
Yeah.
That's it.
We've talked about you getting a camper.
I want a camper and I want to travel the U.S. every state. I want to hit every state in the U.S.
Okay.
And look, if I'm single right now, so hit me up. You know.
I don't think you're having a problem with that.
Yeah. So I'm single, but if I find somebody, great. If I don't, I am at a place in my life where I am perfectly happy alone.
Okay.
Like no issues being alone.
Right.
At all. Zero. And as a matter of fact, you know, somebody that comes into my life, if they want to be a part of my life, they have to add to my life. Not take away like my peace.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's about. It's not about money. It's not about spending time with somebody. It's about my peace.
And what does that look like to you?
Don't bring drama into my life. It's very simple. I'm a very simple dude. I don't need much. I'm not materialistic. I wear sweatpants and t-shirts all day. Like, let me have my peace. If I want time to myself, I'm not going out cheating on you. Yeah. I just like to be alone.
Yeah.
You know, I like to make YouTube videos and podcasts and watch a film. I go to the movies by myself because it brings me peace. I like quiet. I like peace. Don't bring me drama. Don't ask me to go to concerts and shit. I don't like loud rooms.
I've asked you to go to concerts.
Yeah, I don't like loud rooms. I like quiet.
You autistic?
Maybe.
Yeah, you could be.
I don't like loud things. Like it bothers the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a people watcher.
Okay.
I watch, if I go out and I'm at a bar or something, which is rare these days, but I'm watching the exits, I'm watching the doors, I'm watching who I got to lay the fuck out if something goes down. Like I'm always watching and paying attention to everything. Like if there was a concert going on, that would be difficult to do.
I got you. I had a experience at a concert. I had an edible. And it was when I first was consuming marijuana. So it's like alcohol, right? Like you don't know.
Especially edibles, you don't know.
Oh yeah, but with alcohol, like when you just started.
You don't know your limit.
You don't know your limit, right? And I had zero clue, right? So
edibles are strong.
My buddy had this gummy bear. I mean, this fucking thing was like probably 2.5 inches long, and it was 250 milligrams. This whole thing. Now I had again zero clue what that even meant. So the girls they had an ear. They each had an ear. Okay. Jared and I, we split the gummy bear. So basically, we had 100 milligrams probably a piece.
That's a lot, dude.
And I was new.
You were probably drooling.
I was in outer space. First off, I thought I was going to shit my pants.
There you go.
It felt like I was going to shit
That's
my
awesome.
pants. It wasn't awesome.
At a concert, that would be
right. It wasn't awesome because it literally felt like I was. So I kept like checking myself to see if I really was.
And how were you checking yourself?
I was like, okay, nothing feels wet. And all I wanted to do was go to sleep. That's all. And we didn't even go into the concert yet.
Oh,
it was bad. I literally had to use the chair to like
a walker This is why I don't mess with edibles, dude.
Oh man,
You know the last edible I ate.
Oh, I know.
It's the one you gave me.
That's right.
He gave me a cupcake. He gave me a cupcake, and I only had half the cupcake. And after an hour, I felt fine.
Big mistake you just made.
Yeah. After an hour, I felt fine. Right. So then I was like, "Fuck it, let me eat the rest of it."
Of course.
Yeah. So then I ate the whole cupcake.
Yep.
And then I took a nap.
Yep.
Took a 2-hour nap.
So you woke up.
I woke up. I walked. I'll never forget it. I walked right into the kitchen. I had a bowl of cereal. And as I'm sitting there pouring the milk in, I just thought to myself, where the fuck am I? Why can't I feel anything? Drool started coming out of my mouth. I was drooling. I literally was drooling on my couch for like 24 hours. Literally for the next day.
The next day.
The next day. I laid on the couch that night, and for the next literally 24 hours, I could not get off that couch. I didn't need a pillow. I didn't need a blanket. I was just laying there like I was so high.
I know, that's the worst.
It was terrible. I haven't had an edible since then.
But it's nice you're in the comfort of your own
Thank
home.
God I was home.
Right. I was at a damn concert.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, as I'm like looking at this plane, blinking my eyes, thinking I'm taking pictures, as in, like, I thought I was in Time magazine and I was a photographer. And I'm sitting there blinking my eyes as if I am taking pictures in Time magazine. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, man, if something went down right now, I would be completely useless.
Yeah.
Useless. And it
Yeah,
scared the hell out of me.
that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Like, if there was a zombie apocalypse that
Couldn't
day,
do shit.
nope, I'm getting eaten. And I would probably enjoy it. I'd be like, hey,
Take me.
hey, what's up, man? How are you? You want some of this edible?
Yeah, never again, man.
No.
Never again.
So edibles, let us know in the comments.
Start out with just 10 milligrams.
Buy little gummy bears.
Right.
And just...
That are 10 milligrams a piece and just start there.
Yeah.
Or even 5. If you're new, 5 milligrams.
The only edible I've had since then has been the cookies.
Oh, man.
that
Your neighbor makes.
My neighbor makes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, they're really good. And they're not very strong.
No, they're great. They taste fantastic.
They taste good, too.
Shout out to your neighbor.
To the neighbor.
Highly
Shout out to my vampire neighbor.
That's right. She still has a doormat that says, come
she
in for
likes,
a bite.
Yeah.
Right?
She's a
Come in for a
vampire.
bite?
I think so.
Okay, something like that.
I think that's what it says.
Yeah.
But
Shout
yeah,
out
she
to her.
brings edibles as a gift. So that's cool. But we've been going now for about 42 minutes.
Yeah.
The first video on the new YouTube channel.
Yep. Bourbon and Blunts.
Bourbon and Blunts. And we're going to be doing this podcast twice a week.
Yep.
Video the look will change at some point.
Yeah, we'll get better and better.
But you can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music,
Google Podcasts,
Apple Podcasts,
Yep.
and YouTube now, apparently.
Yeah, we're going to be on YouTube. So, but anyways, that was a little preliminary YouTube. Preliminary. YouTube video. And we'll bring it to you every week. Also, just for our audience as well, this is not our main thing. So, bear with us sometimes as our consistency gets better and better, just because we have a million other things in our life that are take precedence.
Yeah, this is for fun right now.
Yeah.
But we will get to a point where it's consistent.
Yes. And we've been fairly consistent.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, but anyways, go check us out. You can find Jeff over there on digital_slang on Twitter, and go check him out on YouTube. Highly recommend his YouTube channel, especially if you're interested in tech. And I have no other things. I am on Twitter, although I just hate using social media. But you can find me on Twitter at Jimmy_the_J.
That's it, guys. We'll be back soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Peace.
Bye.